The next speaker is going to be Yara Komaiha. And many of you guys actually know Yara, and the reason why you guys know Yara is because she is City of Dearborn's first ever, is what I like to call her. And Yara was proudly born and raised in Dearborn Heights, and she graduated as valedictorian at Crestwood High School in 2017. And the reason why I say she was Crestwood's first ever, or even Dearborn Heights' first ever, is because she was the first student at Crestwood High School to ever be admitted into Stanford University and Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which is better known by you young guns as MIT. These are obviously two of the best universities in the world with some of the lowest acceptance rates in the world. So she eventually chose to attend MIT, where she graduated with a bachelor's in biological engineering in 2021 with the highest honors and distinctions. You guys are all about to start college. You will find out how difficult that actually is. That means you are at the highest caliber and the highest level you can possibly be as a student. Yara's passions at MIT went more and beyond just her educational experiences. Specifically, she was known as an influential leader across campus, and she was elected as president of her dorm. She was also the representative of MIT's class of 2021. Today, Yara works for the top management consulting firm in the world, Mckinsey Co, where she partners with worldwide individuals and leaders to solve their most pressing challenges. Please help me welcome Yara Komaiha.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. It's always a little strange to have someone introduce you because you're sitting there and you're like, oh, who are they talking about? And you realize it's about yourself. But I'm so excited to be here and amongst you all. And I reflect on back when I was in your seats, which really wasn't that long ago. And the questions I feel like I was dealing with at the time was, what do I want to do in the future? Where do I want to go? Who do I want to be? And I think these are all the right questions, and I'm sure ones that you all are dealing with at the moment right now. So what I will be doing today is walking you through a little bit of Dr. Alim Ahmed's presentation of how you choose your career and how to find your path. And then I also would love to share my personal story of how I went from your seats to college and to my career today. But before I get started, what I'd love to do is to just get a sense of the distribution in the room. I always love knowing who's here. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of a survey and raise your hands as I say this, okay? How many people in here are freshmen? Okay, awesome. This is the best time for you all to be here. How many of you are sophomores? Cool, good. We have good distribution. Juniors? Nice. Any seniors? One senior. Okay, nice. Well, it's great to have you all here. And then I'm assuming a lot of parents. Yeah? Okay, cool. I wish that I had been here at your ages because I would have loved to have heard what Dr. Maha said about how to develop a better brain earlier, because now I'm running out of time, you know? Okay, awesome. I think a question that we're all facing right now is, what should my career be? What should I do in the future? And sometimes when we talk about success, we get really focused on what does success mean? And success in our minds is a job. It is what we do. It's the fact that I am a doctor, or I have a PhD, or I'm an engineer, and that's how we tend to define success. The thing is, success isn't really that. Success is more, it's not how you get happiness. It's when you are happy that you are successful. And so it's important that you frame and you work on building your happiness first and foremost in order to then feel like you are successful. And the best way to feel successful and to build your happiness is to be doing something that you truly love and doing something that you are incredibly passionate about. So I think I love this dichotomy of what does society think success is all about and what success really is all about. So what society thinks success is all about is I feel like we hear this a lot in the community. So it's, oh my God, they graduated college in 2 years, right? Oh my God, they finished college so quickly. They're so successful. It's all about, oh my God, they're working so hard. They have this great job, whatever, and they get a break. They work so hard and they get this break every two weeks for a year. It's, oh my God, they were able to have this job and you reach retirement and then you can live your happy life. It's buying your house as soon as possible. It's having a title. It's all of these pieces that we talk about success in. But there's so many other aspects of success, and it's so much more holistic than just that piece, right? So it's some people might define success as like really having the freedom to set your own schedule. You're not working on someone else's clock. You can define when you want to do something and when you don't. It's actually enjoying the work that you do. It's not that you're dreading your 9 to 5 every single day and you go do your job and you're waiting for the second you come home. It's actually you're enjoying that part of your day so that you can come home and enjoy the rest of your entire day, the full 24 hours, right? It's success is also not being stressed all the time. It's not 24/7. I'm living under daghs in Arabic, right? And stress. And then it's also being able to spend time with friends and family, as we talked about earlier. It's critical to your development and being surrounded by people that love you and better you, right? So when we talk about careers, we talk really about two aspects of careers. We talk about people's salary, say, oh my God, they're making so much money. And we talk about their job title, as mentioned, especially in the communities. They're a lawyer, they're a doctor, they're an engineer. But there's other pieces that are make for your holistic career. It's yes, job title and salary are important and they factor into it. There's other pieces, and they're actually the vast majority of what your career should be. It's when do you have free time? Are you enjoying what you are doing? Are you able to have time to take care of your body and to rejuvenate yourself? Is it time for, do you also have time to take care of your mental well-being and step back from your job? So just, I want you to really look at this for a second and think about how you also are thinking about your career and where you want to go next, and whether or not you are considering all of these other aspects as well. Because I know that when I was in your shoes, I wasn't. So the other piece of success and what generates success is growth, and it's not this long list of achievements, right? So that's why I kind of stumble a little whenever someone gives me, they do an introduction and they're like, Yara did this and this and this. And I don't know if that's necessarily what defines success. It's all about the development and where I am now, right? So I've seen so much, for me, success has been, yes, I got into great schools, but then while I was at these schools, I grew so much as a person, right? Like my view of the world and the topics that I learned and my pieces of myself. And for me, that is what generates success. It's not the fact that I just checked this box and I did this one thing. And so I want you to also think about success, not about maybe necessarily hitting an achievement, but it's where you will continue to grow and be yourself and see your development. One piece we'll just kind of jump over, or we'll chat about quickly, but once you choose your career, there's pieces of the decision of where do you want to go next for school and all of those aspects. And so one great option is community college. And this is a consideration that everyone should think about, whether it's while you are in high school, if you are taking dual enrollment classes and getting ahead and exploring different careers, or if it's right behind after high school and it bridges you into university. And they have a lot of different programs, and so definitely consider whether or not some of those programs make sense for you. And it's an opportunity to also save money. So for example, at Oakland Community College, there's so many programs, and if you should consider whether or not some of these are right for you, right? So for example, I was just talking to Dr. Maha about this earlier. Like one of the programs at Oakland is that you can become a medical assistant, right? And you can get this certificate. And once you get this degree, if you want to go off and go into medical school, I have a lot of friends who went into medical school and they first did medical assisting first so that they can get a holistic view of medicine before they went and pursued this career path. So this is something that you should also consider if there's any careers here that make sense for you to go to community college and get ahead there as well. There's a lot of different career resources that you should use in making sure you choose the right career. So for example, it's really I think a combination of your interests. What are things that actually bring you joy and that you enjoy? And what are your values? What are the things that you want to live by in your future? What is the environment you live in? Like maybe if I live in Dearborn Heights, the careers that I have access to here may be different than if I had a job in New York, or if I wanted to move back to Lebanon, for example. So these are certain things that you want to weigh when you are choosing your career, and there are different ways for these are pieces to that puzzle. And now you're currently in high school and you're like, okay, well, what do I have to do to get into a good college or to set myself up for a career? And the right answer is you should invest in your academics and in figuring out what the right match is for you. So it depends on what your goals are at the end of the day, but there's different pieces to the college admissions process. There's the academic piece, right? It's your GPA, it's the classes that you take. Are you taking APs? Are you doing dual enrollments? So that's obviously first and foremost. The second piece is the SAT. What score do you need to hit in order to be able to be considered for certain schools? It's the extracurriculars and clubs. This is my favorite one because I feel like I get a lot of people who will ask me, like, what did you do in high school? What were the things that you did? And my answer always is, I did the things that I enjoyed. I did the things that brought me the most happiness and that I wanted to do, and it wasn't just to check boxes again. And so again, it's doing things where you feel inclined to do it and you are motivated to do it. And then the fourth piece is job shadowing. I'll tell you guys my story in a little bit, but I thought I wanted to be a pharmacist for a really long time. And one of the pieces I think that played into maybe a little bit of my decision of why I didn't want to become a pharmacist anymore was because I kind of started seeing the job. And I think that right now in high school is like the most opportune moment, and you don't realize it. You think that you'll figure it out in college, but right now, go out and explore and shadow the careers that you are thinking about and explore and see them in what they would look like for you in the future. And so do that shadowing, and that will also show in the future when you are trying to do that career that you actually have a passion for it. And then the last piece is actually, depending on what career you want to go into, it's the portfolio piece in developing. If you want to be an engineer, maybe you start doing certain projects in your free time, for example. So we talked about careers. We talked about some options for colleges. Now, how do I learn more about the college that I want to attend? College is a big decision. Like where you go is a big decision, and it shouldn't be underestimated in that it is. And it's really 4 years. It depends on the program that you want to do, but it's 4 years for you to kind of become a new person or to learn new things about yourself. And it's also a place where you really want to be happy because college is so stressful. And so I really recommend that you actually go out of your way to go see colleges, depending on where you want to go. Do your visits, attend fairs, do some campus tours. So I remember in high school, I had this one AP Lang essay where I had to go visit 2 colleges. And so I went and I toured Wayne State. And I walked around Wayne State with my aunt, and she gave me a tour of all of the buildings. And I remember thinking, wow, I love Wayne, and I'd love to come here. And then I went and visited the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, and I saw and I was able to compare the 2 of them. And so I really recommend that you all go do that and do that for yourselves so you can see what makes sense. And then in terms of campus tours, very similarly, go do tours of the campuses and talk to people that go there. I think those are big pieces. And then in terms of career components, as we talked about, it's a lot of different pieces and nothing is to be underestimated. It's of course, it's having a good lifestyle. It's being very passionate about the work that you do. And it's also being able to build your network in your community. And something I do want to touch on is the career equals character. Who you are will reflect into your career, and it will also affect what career that you have access to, for example. And so it's a lot about building your reputation is critical to building a successful career for yourself. It's working with integrity is going to play a piece of this. I also know there's a lot of debate on social media. Social media and a lot of your digital footprint follows you for the rest of your life. So considering who you put out there for other people to have access to is going to be really critical, especially at your ages right now. I think every year we kind of see this happen on social media where someone gets like they're like, oh my God, look at this person and what they posted back when they were in high school. So just like think about that and think about who you don't want to be in 15 years when people look back at you. And then as you start figuring this out, I think also make sure you talk to your counselors, talk to mentors. It was a great point that was made earlier. Everyone here is happy to be a mentor to each of you. So please do reach out and ask us if you have questions of like, why did you choose the path that you did? Or what does your career look like today? And all of those pieces. Well, thank you for that. And we'll do questions later in the Q&A. And what I'd love to do now is actually just walk you all through my personal story back when I was in your seats not too long ago. Again, I'm not going to age myself right now. I have some notes, so just give me a second to set myself up. Am I not speaking loud enough? Sorry. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm speaking a lot. Let's see if I can. Okay, we'll just stick to this and I can speak. Okay, thank you. Okay. So I'm going to start with another survey. I got a sense earlier, there's a lot of freshmen, there's a lot of sophomores in the room. My next question for you is, who here feels like they know exactly what they want to do in the future? They know maybe what school they want to go to, they know what career they want to do. Oh, good, there's a few people. Okay, that's nice. So I actually thought I was exactly the same way. I thought I had it all figured out. Up until I was a sophomore in high school, I thought I did. So my plan was always to attend Wayne State, and I would be part of their pre-pharmacy admissions program. And anytime someone asked me growing up, what do you want to be when you're older, Yada, it was always, I wanted to be a pharmacist. And that was my path. I just knew it. And every time, like, your pages that you have from 4th grade where they have the line and you have, what do you want to do? And that was always my answer. And so during my sophomore year, that kind of changed. I had my chemistry teacher who asked me a really simple question. He asked me, why? Why do you want to be a pharmacist? Why do you know that that is the path that you are going to take? Why do you know that you want to go to Wayne State? And I remember I kind of stumbled. I was like, oh, it's going to be so great. It's all of these things. I'll sell drugs. I'll do all of this and blah, 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 blah. And I thought I knew the answer, but I apparently didn't. And when I started reflecting, I was like, why do I want to be a pharmacist? And I realized that it was because of everyone around me. And everyone around me was telling me, you should do this because this will set you up for the most success. And it was a little bit of the footsteps they wish they took. So they said, I wish I did this, so Yada, you should do this. And so when I actually took this step back and while I was having this realization, in parallel, I was thinking about the things that I was doing in high school, the things that were bringing me the most joy. So I was taking my AP Chem class and my AP Calc class and my physics classes, and I was loving everything. I was loving my math and science classes, like to an extreme maybe. And I knew that I loved STEM very heavily. And in the process, while I was starting to think about pharmacy, I realized it's like, I don't really necessarily love being the pharmacist, but I like the concept of these drugs and the manufacturing of these drugs and the science behind these drugs and the research behind it. And so I realized that I actually wanted to be an engineer. I wanted to be a chemical or a biological engineer. And suddenly everything clicked for me. Everything that I was doing and all the things that I was being drawn towards made a lot more sense. And so my first question to you all is why? As you start thinking about what you're doing and what you're doing it for, just think about why you are doing it and whether or not you have that strong enough answer. And is that really in line with, again, like the career that you want in the future and as all of these other pieces that we kind of touched on. So then I got to my senior year of high school, which many of you are coming up to very quickly. And it was time for college applications, and I had to decide where to apply. So between sophomore year and senior year, my story kind of changed. Like, I want to be an engineer now, and I want to go to the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. And that was my dream. That was my reach school. That was probably the biggest dream that I had. My brother was at the University of Michigan at the time, and he was studying engineering. And so I was like, okay, great, this is great, and the University of Michigan is awesome. So what happened though is, as I'm filling out my application to UMich, I'm really struggling to write the essays. And it's a week before the deadline. I'm getting super stressed. I don't know if I'm going to meet the deadline. And so I asked my dad a simple question. I'm like, Dad, can I please skip school today? Can I stay home and write my essays? And he says, absolutely not. You're going to school. And so I get to school and I see my high school counselor, Miss Yusra Ahmadi, and I ask her, I was like, Miss Hamadi, I really need to write my essays. I don't know what to do. Can you please let me out of class? She says, Yara, I'm going to let you skip school. You skip, and I'm going to write it as you attended classes today. Except I have one rule. There's one thing that you have to sign on to. If you skip school today, you have to apply to one of the top 5 schools in the world. And I said, that makes no sense because I don't have time to write one application. She's like, I don't care. You're going to fill out 2 applications, not one, but you get to skip school today. Like, okay, that's fine. So I sat in the library that day and I wrote that application. And the one thing I do want to know, and this was kind of mentioned earlier, is when I was applying to college, there was no City of Dearborn Instagram page that was posting about 4 or 5 kids getting into Harvard and MIT and all of these schools a year. No one got in. That was not even a dream. This was like probably everyone that I knew that applied before me always got rejected. And it was because even if they were much more qualified than me, but they would get rejected. And so there was nobody to look up to in some ways. I end up deciding that I'm going to apply to Stanford. That becomes like what I decide because say if I'm going to do engineering, I might as well apply to a great engineering school, and Stanford was one of the best. And I also knew it was the hardest school to get into, so it was also just like one of those things you just kind of throw, like you flip a coin, but it's not even flipping a coin because the odds are incredibly not in your favor. So I apply. And then on December 11th, I get this crazy news. And I open up a letter where I'm sitting in bed and expecting a rejection. And instead, I find the word congratulations in front of me. And I probably read it 15 times before I believe it. And it was the craziest news, and no one believed me. Everyone thought I was lying for like 2 hours until I could get someone to believe that I didn't Photoshop a picture. And it was a really exciting time, but it was also a very scary time because I think I had this really clear vision of what I wanted to do, and having this come out of nowhere was not what I expected. And so the next step was my parents were like, Yara, look, you got very lucky. There was no one acknowledged. It wasn't like, oh, I did something good. It was, you got very lucky and you got into Stanford. Can you do one more thing for us? Can you apply to MIT? And so I decided to apply to MIT as a joke a little bit, but just to prove to my parents that it was just this crazy luck. And so again, I got in, and my parents thought I was lying again. But the point is, I was glad I submitted both of these applications, and somehow in some crazy universe, like subhanAllah, like I was supposed to get into these schools and I wasn't supposed to apply. So the reason I tell this story is I want the lesson to be for you all is that you're gonna have a lot of cheerleaders around you and people who are gonna believe in you. For me, that was my guidance counselor, not my parents. But they will cheer you on, and I want you all to believe in yourself and like to reach for some of these pieces. And to not hold yourself back from doing things just because you're scared of them. And so the last piece for me is then like so how did I choose where I wanted to go? I now have these 3 applications in front of me. I have the University of Michigan, and I can go there for engineering. I have MIT and Stanford, and I can go there for the best engineering educations as well. And so how do you make the decision when you have these options? I think the first step for me was a little bit of finding out where I could go. So there's a hard conversation that I think we sometimes have to have is like, it is not very encouraged in our communities to necessarily move away for school. Because at the end of the day, we have really good schools here. Like the University of Michigan is a phenomenal school. Wayne State is a phenomenal school. U of M Dearborn is a phenomenal school. And so no one ever really encourages you necessarily to move away. And also, obviously, being a girl is a little bit different. Everyone, when I first got in, they told my parents, they were like, of course Yara won't go. Like, that's a joke. Why did she even apply? You know? But I had the conversation with my parents, and my parents were both, it was a little hard, but they were like, we can't say no to you. There's nothing that will hold you back. And I remember actually like being in this jama, and there was a lecture one night that I was here, and the Sayyid said something along the lines of you need to encourage your kids, especially your daughters, to reach for higher education and reach for their goals and move away and do all of these things. And I remember looking at my parents and being like, subhanAllah, again, like it's like signs from God, right? And so I found out that I could go there. The second piece is a little bit about the college visits and figuring out what makes the most sense. And so this goes back to what I was saying earlier of college is all about figuring out where you will be the happiest for your 4 years. And so for me, I ended up choosing MIT because I went and visited the campus. And while I thought it wouldn't be the right fit for me at first, I loved everyone that I met there. I got matched and I lived with Muslim roommates, which was important to me. I met the Muslim students. I met the Arab students. They have an all girls dorm. And so for me, those were the very, very big pieces. Like I wanted to live somewhere where I felt safe, where I felt community, where I felt happy. I attended a math class and I completely nerded out in this math class. I met people who really cared about me, who took care of me and my family. And it was only an hour flight away, so I could be home as often as I wanted to be. And so for me, while I thought Stanford would be my first choice, I chose MIT because it made a lot more sense for what I was looking for and for the values that I was looking for. And so, and it was great. I really enjoyed it, whereas like Stanford didn't quite match. So overall, just when it comes to the point for you to also choose where you want to go to school, I want you to think about what's important to you and what you need to be successful and for you to thrive, and to live your best life and to be happy. At the end of the day, you're choosing your home when you go away for college. It doesn't matter what school that you go to. If you go local or you go farther away, you are choosing a place that is going to shape you and your experiences. And so don't select a school because of the ranking. Select a school because of where you truly see yourself being and growing the best. So obviously, so my 3 lessons to you all today are really, one is like question your why. Think about why you are doing the things that you're doing and make sure that you feel in your core that they are the things that will set you up for happiness. The second message is like really believe in yourselves. Don't hold yourselves back artificially because you just can't do that. And then the third one is also make sure that you choose places that fit your values and fit the future that you want to live. And while I obviously, I can't compare my experience to what it could have been anywhere else, and I'm sure I would have been happier anywhere else in the world. I think I got, alhamdulillah, like a great college experience and a great time, and I hope you all find the same happiness in your future careers, and would love to answer any questions or be there to mentor you all as you figure out some of these questions.